Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for joining us today. Get ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high-impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel. It's great to have you joining with us today. We are going to finish up the episodes we've been doing on the theme of relationships. Done a number, like 6 different episodes talking about relationships, friendships, marriage, and today I'm actually going to do parenting. And so I hope you have been listening, and by all means share with your friends. I just found out that there's really some popularity to these, especially the one on loving hard to love people. That seems to be especially popular, and we'll see what comes of the rest of these series when we get all the numbers in. I also just found out that the episode I did on self-sabotaging behaviors and how to avoid them, that has jumped in to the top 10 all-time most popular episodes. So if you've listened to it, it's great. And if you haven't, you might want to listen to that one back in January, because that one has become one of the most popular episodes. I would greatly appreciate ratings and reviews on Apple or whatever podcast provider you listen to this through. I would appreciate that so much if you could do that. That really helps out, lets people know. And also those of you that are listening on Pray app, and those that are listening on Amazon Music and some of the others that we've added, providers that we've added for podcasts, a lot of different ways you can listen. Just want to remind you, my book, This is Living, Daily Inspiration to Live Your Faith. If you are looking for something that each day you could have a reading or meditation or devotion that you could spend about 3 minutes reading each day that would just put you in the right frame of mind and inspire you, that's the book. You can get it with a special discount code 25LIVING, all capitals, 25, all capitals, living on Amazon. Just order the book, and when you come to the checkout, just where it says promo code, put in 25LIVING, all caps, and you get 25% off, less than $13 for a beautiful hardcover book, and you're good to go. If you have already read the book, by all means, a review and a rating, 5-star rating would be fantastic as well. Appreciate that very much. Lots of stuff going on. I have a new plan out called Setback to Comeback on the Bible app, YouVersion, the largest Bible app in the world, YouVersion. So you can read that or even listen to it, because I recorded those as well. 5-day plan, 5 days of inspiration to start your comeback. So if you're looking for a comeback and looking for the inspiration and motivation for that, go to the Bible app or Bible.com, and under the Faith tab, you'll find it, and you can listen to it. Well, let's jump in here today, because, man, I got a lot of material to cover. And as you may have noticed, if you haven't, but these podcasts are always right at 30 minutes. And so I like to just keep them at 30 minutes. And sometimes that's more challenging than others. So let me just tell you the genesis about this. I have written on and spoken on parenting. In fact, one of my biggest articles ever was an article that I wrote for Fox News about parenting. It had like 1.7 million people read it. It was all over the internet, on Apple News and everywhere. And I raised 2 sons myself, have a lot of experience in parenting, and like to talk about it. But I was on Twitter, and I saw this guy had posted his name. I'd never heard of him. His name is David Morris, and he posted something about something like fights worth having, parents fights worth having, something like that. And as I looked at some of what he was talking about, I thought, this is good. This is good material, similar to some things that I've done before. And what came out of that was this episode, which I'm going to call 10 Parenting Battles Worth Fighting. 10 battles that are worth fighting as parents. And I definitely borrowed from David some of his material, added some of my own. I think he talked about 8, and of course he talked about them from his perspective and from his insights, and I'll talk about them from mine. But these are ones, boy. If you're a parent and you know someone who's a parent, if you really want to share this with your friends, and if you're young and aren't a parent yet, you want to save this one. And maybe if you're a grandparent and you want to share it with your kids that are now parents. But I think it can really, really help, because there are battles, and there are ones not worth fighting for, and there are ones worth fighting. You know the classic phrase, pick your battles, and you have to. In parenting, like in many things in life, you've got to pick your battles. But this is one where I'm going to say there's 10 that, they're worth battling for. So let's just jump in. The first battle is the work battle. In other words, make your kids work. This idea that kids aren't required to do chores in the home, that's just nonsensical. I always used to just say to my kids, everyone, has a job. Everyone has a job. I have a job, and your mom works part-time as well outside the home, and certainly works a lot in the home. There's lots of work that we're doing, and you have to contribute yourself. You have to. And I don't believe, by the way, in paying kids for doing stuff that they're supposed to do. No one pays mom when she cooks or does their laundry. So why would they get paid for the things that they do? Now, I believe in allowance as a way of learning how to handle money, but I don't think it should be tied to something. Everyone is a part of the family, and everyone needs to share in the responsibilities. And learning hard work, ownership that comes from pitching in and being part of it. There's life principles that you learn cleaning bathrooms. That's a fact. So if you have to battle with the kids, you battle with them, but they have a role to play. The meal battle. And this is, eating together as a family. Now, there's all kinds of studies, man. And again, if I had time, that show the benefit of a regular family mealtime. And they range from lower depression to less drug use. I mean, it's just really important. I can tell you that there have been seasons in my life where I've worked these 80-hour weeks, especially starting things from scratch. And I've done that a number of times in my life. And I have to tell you, even then, I would be home at 6 o'clock for a meal. That may be the only time, really. It may be the only time. The kids go off to school. I'm working all day, and then I have to go back out for a meeting. But we had family meal times together. And again, it's this being able to just pause and just say, you know what? Most important thing is our family. And busyness is not going to rule our family. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk. We're going to share our day. We're going to laugh. We're going to cover things that need to be covered. This is what happens during a family mealtime. Man, it's just crucially important. Make sure you have the mealtime. No TV is on. No one is online. No, the phones are not there. No one's looking down. Everyone's looking up. They're looking at each other. We're eating together, and we're talking as a family. The reading battle. Make your kids read. One of my boys is just an incredible reader, always has been and continues to be. But, for others, it may not be the case. And in the video world we live in, man, that sure seems to be the case. But this is one battle worth fighting for, because reading is so crucial. I mean, absolutely crucial. As someone who has a couple of graduate degrees, let me just say to you that you go through school, high school, even undergraduate college, it's memorization, it's tests. You get to graduate school, it's reading and then writing about what you've read. You can get yourself a graduate education if you're a reader. I've told people this time and time again. You'd be amazed just being a reader. And if you're in a leadership position, Leaders are readers. That's the old phrase. So teaching your kids to read and making them read now so that they appreciate the value of reading and all that it can do for them, the way it can educate them, the wisdom that it can give to them, is just invaluable. And if they say they don't want to read, you say, and of course you've got to read too. You got to be an example. And my kids saw that example from their dad and saw the books that I have. If you were with me right now, in my office, there's an entire wall from floor to ceiling of books, and then it wraps around and there's more books, and there's more books in 2 bookcases upstairs. So you have to read too, and you should read. And it's great for discussions, and it's just so crucial for their cognitive development, their ability to learn how to focus, how it will help them in all their educational pursuits. You got to have the reading in your kids, and if you got to battle for it, you got to battle for it. The outside battle, in other words, make the kids go outside. The natural world teaches us things. I mean, it's just absolutely true. There are things that, you don't have control over. You learn that. You learn about the seasons of life and cycles, and you learn a lot of things. Take them to the national parks. Take them to the state parks. Get them outside where there's sunshine and fresh air and exercise. Discovery, wonder, awe. There's so much that's artificial that our kids are surrounded by. They need the real. And don't let them sit inside in front of their devices, in front of a screen all day, day after day. Get them outside. Force them to be outside and take them outside so that they can experience all that. Oh man, there's so many great things that they can experience if you can get them outside. So whatever you have to do, make sure you win that battle, the outside battle. And then the boredom battle. And here's what I mean. There's just nothing kids seem to hate more than boredom. My kids used to say that, boredom. Make kids learn how to live with boredom. Yes. Boredom is a skill that you develop. Think about this. The whole mindfulness meditation movement, isn't that really a desire to develop the ability to be bored? In many ways, it's about taking away all the external stimuli. Kids need unscheduled time. Now, it's hard as a parent to deal with the boredom complaints. But if you give in and just fill up their time, you're gonna raise. And Morris says this: an activity addict, which is an interesting phrase. An activity addict. Resist the urge to give them a distraction. Make them learn how to be. Just be. There's so much value in learning something like that, and they can only learn it if you don't give in to their whining and complaining. They will learn it, they will develop it, and it will serve them so well in the future. Fight the boredom fight, win that battle. Your kids will thank you for it. All right, here's a big one, the selfishness battle. We are all innately selfish. It's something that every person has to battle their whole life, and some people lose the battle, and it makes them not be a good friend. It's terrible for relationships, leadership. So just like make your kids go last, not be first. Not every time, but enough for them to get the message. The world does not revolve around them. You leave kids on their own, they're going to elevate themselves above others. They're going to be first in line. They're going to take the biggest piece of cake. Me. That is the natural inclination in all of us. And so periodically, you purposely make them last. They get the smallest piece. They don't get to have the remote. They have to do the other siblings' chores. Their choice is not the choice that we end up going with, or they get the least of their choices. They're not going to like it. You talk about a battle, this will be a battle royale. But if you don't battle this and fight this inclination in your children, I'm telling you, you're going to end up raising kids. Then their selfishness, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, because I think I have the experience to back this up. This is how people end up getting divorced. They can't stay married because selfishness doesn't work. And it doesn't work not only in a marriage, but in friendship. It'll hurt you in your career. And how can you ever excel in something like athletics in a team sport? So teaching them now, you're doing them an enormous favor, an enormous gift that you're giving them. All right, here's another one, the awkward conversation battle. Have those uncomfortable conversations with your kids. Of course, no one wants to do this. You don't want to talk to them about things like sex and body image and dating. They're all awkward. And there's other hard conversations, values. You look at what's going on, who's in charge of the kids, the schools or the parents, and the parents say, hey, these are our values, and they may be different from what you're being taught at school, but we need to talk about it. You need to understand why we believe the way we believe. Your kids, come on, you start saying, let's talk about something like sex, and they are going to resist it. I can guarantee you that. And you're gonna probably stumble a little bit. It's gonna be awkward, but they need your perspective. They need to know the lessons learned. They need the wisdom that you can share with them. It's important that just the pattern of open communication that it establishes, that you're willing to get into those uncomfortable conversations with them, that, that's something that you love them enough to do, and you'll talk to them about things that are hard to talk about and difficult to talk about. Don't wimp out on your kids. Your kids need to hear from you about these really important things. This is not something, you can farm off to somebody else. You've got to do it. And it's really, really important that you're willing to do it, that you're willing to enter into the tough conversations. So that's a battle. You got to battle, and you have to win. The limitation battle. In other words, make your kids live within limits. Learning to live within limits is a valuable life skill. Many adult problems arise out of an inability to accept limits. Let's just start with something like debt. People get into debt because they don't want to live within the limits of their means. And then all that entails, all the things that then arise out of that, which, by the way, your unwillingness to live within limits, then get in debt, impacts your children. Overcommitment. They're just being exhausted from not being able to do everything and just ignoring your limitations. No one lives without limitations. And limitations are maturing for us. And if you don't introduce and enforce them, then, you're not doing your kids any favors. And in fact, you're hurting them. And just think about screen time limits. Just let me tell you, when I raised my boys, this is what I said. You get 1 hour of TV a day. That's it. 1 hour. That's all you get. That's all you get. They were athletes, they had all their homework to do. They didn't have time to be watching TV. Plus, there's so many things on TV that are not beneficial for them and not appropriate for them. And then, you can get into things like limits in terms of issues like with food. 2/3 are overweight and obese. I mean, what is going on? It's time now. Might as well learn about it now that, you just don't get unlimited amount of ice cream or whatever else it is. It's important to learn these things. It's important to learn the activity limits, that there's something called a schedule. You can't do everything. You have to live within the limitations that come with life. And when you teach your kids this, you are really blessing them and giving them a really great life lesson that will serve them well. All right, here's two more. And to me, these are huge. I mean, huge, huge, huge. One is part of what I wrote about in that article that's been read by so many millions of people. I'll get to that last, but this is a huge one, the church battle. Make your kids go to church. You lead the home, the kids follow. Nothing is more important than the spiritual health of your family. And going to church is the one consistent way to make sure your kids are experiencing God, fellowship, service. And there's so many great things that come out of being a part of a church family. That your kids have opportunities to serve, that they understand that the church is a family and there's fellowship and relationships. And of course, by far, most importantly, they learn about God. They understand who Jesus is. They learn about the Bible and how the Bible is this marvelous manual for life. And they hear preaching and teaching, and they learn so many marvelous, marvelous truths that will set them up for a blessed life, a life that is truly successful. Going to youth group, non-negotiable. They go to youth group because they go to the children's ministry, and like my church we had it run concurrently with the adult service. But then youth group was at another time, but they go there so they can be in age appropriate times of teaching and training and fun, by the way. I mean, these children's ministry, let me tell you, I'd sit in staff meetings, listen to the family pastor and youth pastor and children's director and talk about all the things that these kids were doing and young people were doing. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and they should equate church with fun. So you just say, hey, this is what we do. This is what we do on, so-and-so is going on Sunday. Well, we got, not Sunday morning. That's not going to happen, because we know where our commitment is. And when you stick to that commitment, man, it'll make a huge, huge, huge difference in their lives. And then final battle is I'll call the mastery battle. Make your kids try all kinds of stuff, like a variety of sports and music and art and dance, all that sort of stuff. So it's like the wide funnel. It's very much like the education in terms of college education model. Undergraduate, you start out wide, but if you go to graduate school and you go to the advanced degree level, doctoral level, it goes from wide to narrow. You end up specializing in something. It's the same idea. It's crucial that every child knows that they can do one thing well. And it really doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever they like, but you're helping them to look at a lot of different things, try a lot of different things, experience a lot of different things. But they need to have the knowledge that there's something that they do well and others know they do it well too. Achieving a degree of mastery in something works wonders for children. When they know they're good at something, it really fosters a potential mindset in them, and it opens the door for all kinds of future opportunities and possibilities. So this is just so important that you just keep exposing them, but then once they latch onto something, then you really help them to drill down on it, to not quit on it, to keep after it until they master it to some degree, that they're good at it, that they know there's something that they are good at. And everyone knows they're good at this one thing. I'm telling you, it's really, really, really important to find something that they can master, that they are really good at. And again, they know it and others know it. And it builds a kind of esteem in them, a self-esteem that, this isn't about, you telling them that they know they are. It's, in other words, objectively, not you subjectively, and not, a trophy for everybody, but I mean objectively, like they're good at this. They are good at it. And I can tell you that I did this with my sons. It just happened to be the same sport that I was good at, football, although one of my sons was an incredible basketball player too. They both went on to play college football, and there it is, and what that did for them, knowing that there's something I'm good at. But whatever it is, again, my wife's into music and is a singer, so it could be music, it could be dance, it could be art, and it could be other things, that other kinds of activities or pursuits, but help them to master something and fight that battle till they do. Don't let them give up too quickly. So here's 10 battles. And I'm telling you, if you'll fight these battles with your kids, man, will they thank you for it later. You will form them in such a marvelous, marvelous way so that they really do know how to deal with things like boredom and limitations, where they are workers and they value the work ethic, and they're readers. They're not wrapped up in themselves in terms of a selfishness. And then that you would have meals with them and you would have those difficult conversations with them to show that how much you love and care about them, and that you would absolutely make sure that they know Jesus and have a spiritual life and a spiritual foundation that will help them to discover God's plan for their life and have that kind of peace that everyone seeks in life and meaning that they can have. Man, if you do this for your kids, you are going to be a really, really, really good parent. And I hope that you will take the time and put in the effort. It's not easy. What's easy to do is just, let them win. In other words, or don't even, there's battles worth fighting. Yes. And there's battles not worth, these are the ones worth fighting for. These are the ones. You can pass on some other things, but you got to fight these battles, friends. And if you fight them, you're fighting them for your kids, not with your kids, for your kids. And they'll thank you for it later, maybe a lot later, but trust me, they absolutely positively will. Well, I blew through those in record time, just so I could have a little bit of time here at the end, just to say that I'm going to be traveling internationally again. And those of you that listen know I do this quite a bit. I'll be hitting countries 34 and 35 on this one. So I'm going to be taking a break. Don't know how long a break it will be, because we usually take a summer break. So I don't know if I'll come back and do a little bit more and then take a break in the summer. I don't know if it'll last all the way through the summer. We'll see. But certainly going to take a break here and do some travel. And as always, I'll have some things to share for sure about my experiences when I get back. So I look forward to sharing those insights and those experiences and those stories with you. But we're going to take a little break here. I hope these episodes on relationships have helped you. And I really, as a parent, and if you're married, as a spouse, and as a friend, and your work relationships, and the people that are hard to love in your life, really hope that all of these will really bless and help your relationships in so many ways. That's been my goal in doing it. And we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll tackle some new and exciting topics in the days to come. Take care.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.